What's good though? What's good though? Yo, I love that beat. I got some more beats coming from my homeboy. What's good, everybody that's in the feed right now? Is Big Game James, Silver and Blue Nation. Big Game James, Big Game James, BGJ on the microphone. I ain't no rapper, but you know how we do. What's up with everybody? Let's go. Let's talk it out. Let's talk about some things today. Let me get my shout outs. Don't try to run. Get up in this damn face so we can talk some Cowboys football, man. What's up, Eastside Harold, Thurston Howell the third, Joseph Ventura. Yo, what's up, Stephen Arthur the third? What I say third? I didn't mean to say that. That just came off of that. But what's up with Stephen Arthur? Aaron Lewis, K Swagger 33. Let me get my Get my arm pump right there, right there. David Jenkins, you know how you do. DJ Jenkins on the mic. Tariq Salim, what's up with you? Juwan James, DC4, you know how we do. Dallas Cowboy for life. How y'all doing out there? It's a beautiful day out here. I'm out here in Columbus, Ohio, man. It's a nice day out here. Lovely, beautiful, just, sunshiny all day. We got the COVID-19 going down, but I heard some good positive things that it might be. Hasn't been a lot of cases been going on in New York. Has been not added more cases. So I think this thing is eventually going to curve, so it's going to be a good thing. We just heard in the NFL draft that they're going to have a virtual draft. I believe they're going to have it from their headquarters. They're going to draft that way. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that happens. It's going to be the first time in history that happens. So make sure you tune in for our draft because we're going to have a popping. But we're going to talk about some things. I got a really good interview that I got from George Iocca. He interviewed Kavon Frazier, safety with the Cowboys. Obviously, Kavon Frazier is a free agent right now. We had George Iocca on the show. Skywalker still got that great interview. We had that interview about a month ago with Iocca, and he gave some really good info about the Cowboys and how he was kind of bouncing off what Chidobe Awuzie was talking about, how the players weren't really pressured, but it was more the staff, and it was more of a Super Bowl or a bust. And when you see how the season ended with the 8-8 season, was more so of the pressure got to the staff more than the players. Players were playing like normal, but it was the staff that was under pressure and didn't basically rise to the occasion. Any business that you do, there's going to be pressure. And it was a Super Bowl bust, and that may, when you talk about, well, why was Ezekiel Elliott signed before a Dak Prescott? Well, you probably should have signed a Dak Prescott, but when you saw Ezekiel Elliott hold out and it was a Super Bowl or a bust season, maybe that's the reason why they got nervous and signed Ezekiel Elliott hastily. Because if they didn't feel like it was a Super Bowl or bust season, maybe they wouldn't have signed Ezekiel Elliott hastily. But they did it because they felt like this was their Super Bowl season, and they couldn't have a Super Bowl season going in there with a rookie running back in Tony Pollard, who was an unknown to them. They had to go with a known commodity, and so maybe they felt that pressure. But we're going to talk about that interview later on in the show. Won't be too long. But I got some good points where he was also talking about Chris Richard. But we're going to hear what Kavon Frazier had to say, and I want y'all to listen to it because it was very, very interesting what he said. But today's show, and what's up with everybody in here? What up, Derek Clegg? Sip the Truth, what up with you? Everybody, we got a nice little crowd. Let's get up in here. Donation, donation, donation. I told you, that's just the Tourette's. It comes out, and I don't have control of it. It just comes out. So, and also, you see there at the bottom that Cash Me app. I had a couple people cash at me the last show. Shout outs to you. Because I'm going to keep it right now. YouTube be taxing the F out of you. For real, especially on the super chats. But don't stop those if you choose to do that. But I'm saying if you want to cash at me right there at the Big Game James, come straight through. Motherfuckers ain't hit me. Excuse my language. Ain't hit me with no taxes and all that BS bullshit. Cause them niggas be. I'm talking real. Excuse my language. Them cats be basically eating. So I'm just letting y'all know ahead of time. But let's talk about Jon Vea Johnson. All right. That's what the video's about. First, we talked about a couple players. I had a couple players that I mentioned before Jon Vea Johnson. Let's jump right to it. Yeah, I heard about the workout. We're going to talk about all that. I'm going to show the pictures, all that good stuff. But let's talk about this right here. Cowboys returning receivers. And that's not all the Cowboys returning receivers, but these are the two returning receivers that I have done videos on and have talked about. Devin Smith, as you see up top. I like Smith, as I said, but I don't think he makes it. Not because I don't like Devin Smith. I think he has great speed, great straight line speed. But when I look at the position that he played since he's played even in college, hey, ho, we got a $2 holler from K to Swagger 33, and I gave you the arm flex on you. But since we're doing this right now, you're going to see the arm flex, but the arm flex came to you just as you did that arm flex for you, big dog. There you go. So, as I said, Cowboys returning receivers. I like Smith, but I don't think he makes it. It's not because I don't want him to make it. I do want him to make it, but when I look at the chances, I see he's 28 years old. Number one, he doesn't play special teams at all. He's been more of an X receiver, outside receiver. Even when he played at Ohio State, he was more of an outside receiver, and when he came into college, he's the speed receiver and go. Haven't seen a lot of him do a lot of stuff in slot. Haven't seen it. And when you have other receivers on the roster, Jon Vea Johnson, who I was going to mention, and Cedric Wilson, who I also mentioned, and he does play special teams. He does kick returns. He does punt returns. He's a gunner. I'm talking about Cedric Wilson right here. That gives him a better chance. And because he's had injuries the first couple of years, that gives him a chance because even though there's a new staff, they're still going to want to see what they have. And Devin Smith, you have a 28-year-old who hasn't played the slot, doesn't really offer special teams. It's going to be tough for him to make it, especially if they draft a receiver, which they are going to draft a receiver. How high, I don't know, but they are going to draft definitely a receiver in this draft. So that's the reason why I said Devin Smith, to me, does not make it. Now, when we talked about Cedric Wilson, who we just made a video a few days ago, he's a bubble player because he's been injured the last couple of years, doesn't have any kind of skills when you look at Cedric Wilson that stand out. He has good size as far as the height goes, 6'2". Not the biggest cat, about 200 pounds. Maybe he has gotten bigger because this will be his third year in the program. But we talk about Cedric Wilson. They had high hopes for him, and basically he had got cut. They brought him back, okay? So when they brought him back, he was able to shine in that Jets game, had 5 catches for about 45 yards, 9-catch average. Got hurt in that game, knocked him out the whole year. Problem with him is he's been injured in college, had the ankle injuries, had the torn labrum, played through it. That's the good thing, but he had the injury his rookie year, basically washed out his rookie year. He comes back his second year, basically doesn't make the team, comes back, shows some impressive things as far as that Jets game being called upon. When Amari Cooper goes out in the game, and Michael Gallup didn't have the greatest game because he had a few drops, and that was his time to shine, and he didn't. Cedric Wilson really came through in that game, but once again, the injuries. But when you see a new staff, they'll give him a new chance. Adam Henry is the new receivers coach. He's a guy that coached Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry in college and in the pros. You see what they've done in college and the pros, so they've had some successful careers. So you think that he said he's not trying to be a friend within the receivers. He's actually trying to get you better. So we'll see what happens with that. But so far, Smith, I don't think makes it. I think Cedric Wilson is a bubble player, and he has a good chance, but he has to stay healthy all through camp. If he has any kind of injury in they draft, I don't think he makes it as well. There's going to be a draft, Robert Shoemaker. There's definitely going to be a draft. Hey, ho, John Jones with the $10 holla. What's up with you, big dog? Appreciate you for life. My dog. But, yeah, there's definitely going to be a draft. There's going to be a virtual draft, but there's definitely going to be a draft. So then that goes to our guy that I'm basically talking about, Mr. Jon Vea Johnson. And I said the reason why Jon Vea Johnson has a chance because speed kills, all right? And Jon Vea Johnson, even though he was an undrafted wideout coming out of the University of Toledo, 4.35, 4.4, that speed kills. And as long as you have speed, you have a chance. Now, when we look at the roster that the Cowboys currently have right now, you look at the guarantees. You have Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup. Amari Cooper has good speed, 4.4. Michael Gallup doesn't have the great speed, but he's more of the guy that can go up and get it. He's a physical type receiver. So you don't really see him getting long on people, but he can go up and get it. And that's what you like about a Michael Gallup. So you got those two guaranteed. Tavon Austin is not under contract, so he's in flux. But if you see the people that's coming back, Dez Bryant, who they got from the Bengals last year, plays special teams, and he's a good size, 6'4", and he played in the slot. A lot of times when he was at the Bengals, he played in the slot, but didn't have great speed as well, and he just had the marijuana and I believe the gun charge, so he might be in up in air. You also have Lance Lenore, who's been on the roster forever. Well, we haven't seen anything Lance Lenore. Remember, everybody was clamoring for Lance Lenore. He had a great camp, much like a Jon Vea Johnson did. But what was his problem? Drops. And that's what we're going to talk about Jon Vea. But his problem was drops. Because he was the darling in camp a few years ago. I think it was 2017, where he was the guy that everybody was talking about. When he had his opportunity, he dropped a punt. I believe he dropped a few catches, basically fell off the map. But they have still continued to keep him on this roster. Now, another thing I believe that helps the practice players, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm talking in this feed when we're talking about the CBA that just got signed. I think one of the stipulations for the CBA was that the practice squad be unlimited time now, because I think before the practice squad you had 3 years on the practice squad, and then after that you couldn't be on the practice squad any longer, and they were just going to either have to cut you or have to go to a new team or make the squad. I now believe that it is unlimited. If that is the case, that you can be on the practice squad unlimited, that helps a Lance Lenore, and also believe it helps a Jon Vea Johnson if he doesn't rectify his drops. Okay? But as I said before, you had a Lance Lenore, you have a Tavon Jones, who's 6'2", 225 pounds, 27 years old. You have a Deontay Burton, who's 6'2", 205, 25 years old. Those are guys who are fringe players that could be just body guys. Okay? So you really don't see Cedric, and then like I mentioned, Cedric Wilson, really you don't see when you look at the Cowboys roster from head to toe at the receiving core. When Randall Cobb left, there is a need, because that's why they went after Emmanuel Sanders. How serious, we don't know, but we did know that they were going after Emmanuel Sanders. So obviously the Cowboys felt there were a need in that third slot. Now, we've been talking about Dez Bryant, and we'll talk about that later, but we're talking about the guys that are currently on the roster. You would think that this new staff would look at it, some of these guys, because they're not just going to just get rid of all these guys and go in the draft and draft rookies and put all their stock in that. Although the guys that you have on the team, Jon Vea Johnson, he's still like a rookie because he only played a few games in the preseason, got hurt. But anything that you have on a roster, they love having size. Anybody on a roster loves having a 6'1", 6'2", 6'3" guy. More teams are going to that way. More teams like having the big receiver. But one thing you can never teach is speed. And Dallas does not have on that roster from top to bottom, and they haven't had it on the roster for a very long time. Now, you have a Tavon Austin, but once again, he's older and he's unsigned. He's a free agent. So you have a guy in Jon Vea Johnson who had the issues with the drops, and we're going to show a few plays where you've seen the drops. San Francisco game, I'm just going to show you the little tidbits of that part of the game. It was more of like a 2-minute offense. But we're going to show you things that excite you about but Jon Vea. Little interview in here that kind of sparked my interest. This was last year. Just kind of get the mentality of a Jon Vea Johnson and what I like about him. First of all, I want to hear your thoughts about Jon Vea, and then we're going to go through an interview. We're going to show a little bit of his highlights, and then we're going to show a little bit of tape in the San Francisco game where you got, you like him. Yeah, I forgot about Noah Brown. Sorry about that. David Jenkins, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, I'm not hey, like I said, what's up, my Cowboys family? You can have your doubts. I understand that. But you know what? He's going to have a chance because speed kills. And here's the thing. It was 3 drops in 2 games. So that's the only reason why you have doubts, because every one of you guys, including my Cowboys family, all of us, were jumping up and down when we saw Jon Vea Johnson killing in training camp. And the reason why, first of all, Devin Smith wasn't even being talked about in training camp last year. He was the afterthought. You weren't even, and he was the one that had speed, but you weren't even talking about him because Jon Vea Johnson was killing in camp. The problem that with him is he was dropping him. I think I was even there in the scrimmage game, the blue and white scrimmage, and they went Dak Prescott intentionally. I'm not saying intentionally, but he was getting open. He was getting off that coverage. He was finding the soft spots in the zone, and he was getting open. But his problem in the training camp in that blue and white scrimmage was he was dropping the ball in that in that scrimmage game. And I was just like, everybody was there was like, come on, dog, because we were all wanting and hoping because that speed was nice. You could see it on the field. You could see how much of a relevance he could have been if he was catching the ball. But he was dropping that ball in that blue and white scrimmage, and we were like, hey, ho, okay, Swagger with another $2 holler. Cut Noah Brown, I feel you, dog. But, Noah Brown has stuff to offer, but he was hurt. It was frustrating to me that they kept him on the roster when you knew he was hurt, and then you said you were going to activate him in 9 games, and guess what? He stayed hurt. So that's frustrating. But like I said, a lot of people wanted Jon Vea Johnson to really show up, and those games really killed him and knocked him off the roster. When Devin Smith really showed up in that Texans games, I think he had like 6 catches for 50-something yards. And then in the game against the Rams, he caught that touchdown pass, which was a very hard touchdown catch. I think that's really what elevated him with Jon Vea Johnson. And Jon Vea Johnson had the shoulder injury, basically put him on IR. But I still feel like the Cowboys have looks for him. Now, he didn't play a lot of special teams in college. I went through. He didn't do a lot of punt returns or kick returns, but he played all 3 positions at the University of Toledo. But listen to this interview right quick, and just this is last year because he's pretty much a rookie again. Just listen to this interview right quick, and then we're going to show some highlights.
Johnson is a Gary, Indiana native who attended the University of Toledo, part of the Mid-American Conference, not one of the big Power 5 conferences, and Johnson also did not attend the Combine. However, Johnson says he enjoys being an underdog because it allows him to take risks.
I was just texting my dad the other day. I was like, I kind of like being this underdog. It's just always having the advantages, when it's time to shine. You know what I mean? A lot of people just look back at him like,
obviously, as a new coach, he talks about Sanjay Lal right here, but obviously Adam Henry is his coach. But just listen to Jon Vea.
A basketball state, you know what I mean? So it always just keeps driving me in the back of my head. I'm always just pushing through.
The 2019 draft came and went without Johnson's name being called. However, that underdog mentality allows Johnson to not get caught up in being undrafted.
I just love the game of football, so I'm not sure. I don't put a lot of pressure on myself. So the undrafted part, it hit me just a little bit. But when I'm out there, I'm really not thinking about it. You know what I mean? I just love being out there playing, getting another opportunity. That's how I look at it. Like, I got another opportunity to play, drafted or undrafted.
Johnson's speed and athleticism hasn't surprised wide receivers coach Sanjay Lal. What has surprised Lal is how quickly Johnson has been able to adjust to playing at this level.
His speed and athleticism and how smooth he is has shown up here almost a little bit earlier than we thought it would, because we think he's going to process. Most young guys are thinking a lot. He's done a good job of learning his plays and coming out here and showing what
obviously you see Sanjay Lal. He's not there, Adam Henry, but we know what Adam Henry's done with the 2 guys in Beckham and Landry. But I like just listening to him, and then we're going to show some highlights.
The next day, I put in some overtime in the playbook that next day, so it slowed up the next day, and now it's just been slowing up, and the more it slowed up, I could just play more faster.
Lal was a deciding factor for Johnson when choosing to sign with the Cowboys.
I knew that he was going to coach me hard, and like I said, with my skill set, it needs to be coached hard. I don't think I could be coached lightly and be able to perform how I want to perform, up to my standards. So I like the way that Coach Sanjay coaches me, and he breaks me down and he builds me back up, so I love that about that.
Jason Johnson, Jon Vea's father, has given Jon Vea unique insight up until this point because Jason was a wide receiver in the NFL. Jon Vea says his father has been his #1 supporter since day one.
After the draft, I was with my family, and I went upstairs to the bathroom, and then
I like Jalen Guyton too. I wish they would have kept him. I liked him.
All right, so what you feeling? You know what I mean? So my dad never really pressured me into anything. He just laid what he feel out. He laid his opinion out, and I just look at it. I look over it. I'm like, okay, and he just let me make my own decision. So even training, we go out. We've been working out before I came here to OTAs. We worked out every day, like from 9 p.m. to like midnight. He got work, and he got stuff after work, so he don't really get free till about 8 to 12. I tell my peers, my friends all the time, like I have a great father. Coming from where I come from, Gary, Indiana, there's not a lot of father figures out there, so I was blessed to have a great father.
Great little interview that I liked with Jon Vea Johnson right there. That really got me excited. Let's see here. Like I said, I like Jon Vea. Now, let's check some stats from Jon Vea. This is from his college career, and then we're going to show just some flash highlights. But something that really stood out to me when you look at his stats, he really went nutso his sophomore year. He had 40 catches for 773 yards. But here's the thing. Like I said, when you look at the guys that's coming back in the fold, okay, for the Cowboys gonna keep a few of them, maybe a couple, probably no more than that. So a lot of these fringe guys that have been on the roster, it's going to be make or break time for you. But once again, speed kills. But when I look at these averages, 19.3, 10 touchdowns, 16.4. His last year, 20.6. Okay, that tells me that's explosiveness. Okay, that tells me explosiveness. And now let's look at some of these highlights, even some more explosiveness. Okay. Here's the thing, Derek. He has played in the slot. He's played in the slot. He was played pretty much the X, the Z, and the slot. But when you watch him, these are the things that get you excited about him. Okay, and this is just some of his old tape. He's got that go, and the Cowboys don't have that right now. And here's the thing. He's young. That's why it helps him, his chance over maybe like a Devin Smith, because he's younger, okay? He's that young guy. Okay, and like I said, 4.3 speed. When I saw that, if he could get his drops together, because think about it, if he didn't have the drops this past season, okay, you were excited about Jon Vea. Everybody was excited about this kid. Everybody was wanting this kid to see this kid on the field, but his drops killed him. His drops killed him in that scrimmage. His drops killed him in that game. Okay, and that's what his downfall was. Now, maybe it was a blessing in disguise. Okay, maybe it was a blessing in disguise that he got hurt, because maybe this was a time for him to get stronger. He was a good route runner, as you see right here. Sorry about that. Hey ho, I am the Sheepdog 45, $9.99. Holla, appreciate you. Keep it rocking, brother. I sure will. But look at that. Get off. Get off me. We need some more artists. Give me some of that. Get off. I want to see that quickness. And if the Cowboys don't draft somebody high, he has a chance. And even if they do draft somebody high, he still has a chance. He got the extra. Now, let me show you something right here. That's what I'm saying. And correct me if I'm wrong, my Cowboys family. Let me know if I'm wrong. Isn't it, if you're telling me this right now, isn't it where they can be unlimited on the practice squad right now? Somebody tell me if I'm right or wrong. They can stay on the practice squad. There's no 3-year limit now. They can be on there as long as they want. So I believe that helps them. Let me know, somebody in the feed, to let me know if I'm right on that. Let me get this. I want to show you a little bit of this right here. I'm just going to let this roll, because this is the thing that hurt him, because he had a drop in this, but he had a couple plays, and he had this one where he stuck his foot on the ground on this corner, and it was lovely, and I want to show you that. Okay, bet. That's what I thought. What up, Jot? Now, I'm going to just want y'all to see this. I'm going to show y'all this right quick. And I'm just going to let it play through, but I want y'all to watch it, because.
Room out to the 28-yard line, and that's where the Cowboys.
Sorry if you heard that. Apologize.
Room out to the 28-yard line, and that's where the.
All right, so Get down here. I want to show you a little bit of this Jon Vea. And this is what happened. This is in the preseason game that everybody was excited for, but he didn't show improve. Had a few drops in this game, but he had a couple catches in this game that got you excited too. I'm just going to let it play through. What's up, Cajun Cowboy? Now I'm going to just let this play through. Now, this was his game against San Francisco. All right. Now, he dropped this pass right here. It was a quick slant. Cooper Rush actually got him a good pass. But dropped the ball. And I think one of the big problems was that dropped the ball because he was looking at that guy to make that hit on him. And I think that was a couple plays where he dropped a couple passes was because he was looking at taking that big hit. Now, you're going to get hit in the NFL. You're going to get hit. When I was playing, when I coached my kids, like, look, you're going to get hit regardless. So you might as well catch it. You get what I'm saying? You might as well hold on to the ball because you're going to get hit regardless. As you can see it right here. And I'm just going to let this play through because this was the 2-minute warning. All right, because he has a couple more plays that I want y'all to see. And I'm going to let it just kind of go through for you as I continue to talk to you. But he has a play right here. Now, I'm just going to get right to it. They ruled that pass incomplete. Blake Jarwin had a good game. Remember that San Francisco game? Blake Jarwin had a good game. All right, Scary, come up here. Boy, this boy puts a foot on the ground on one of these plays right here. Here we go. Did you see that play right there? I'm going to rewind that right quick. Did you see that play right there? Did you see when he put his foot in the ground? Did you see when he put his foot on the ground? I'm going to show that again right quick because, dog, that's what gets you excited about him. When he puts his foot in the ground on that play right there, I was like, okay, that's why I like this dude. Because the Cowboys, when you seen that, that's what Amari Cooper does. And I'm not saying he's no Amari Cooper, but when you have that kind of, he can hit those routes because he's a good route runner. But when he put his foot in the ground on that play, oh, my God, that had me ridiculously excited. Like, okay, this is somebody to get you really, Let me show that play again. Is E.T. Blue in here? What's up, Dallas Cowboys for life? What's up, E.T. Blue? What's up with your big dog? I love it. What's up? But look at this play right here. I'm going to let it come up again. Watch this right here. What he does it is watch him put his foot in the ground right here. that dude, I'm trying to tell y'all, do not count Jon Vea Johnson out. I know people are going to look at me like, you crazy, dog. You talking too much about this dude. He was undrafted, blah, blah, blah. But when you look at the depth of this roster, Jon Vea Johnson has a chance. And once again, you cannot teach 4.3 speed. And if you get his hands together, dog, that's a great addition. You could draft like a top receiver, right? Let's say you draft a top receiver. Maybe in the first round, maybe in the second round. Let's say you get a receiver in the first two. You got a dog. He's most likely going to play right now. Even if you got Gallup and Cooper, he's probably going to play right now. We don't know about the Dez situation. We're going to talk about that. But let's say Dez is not on the team. Let's just say hypothetically Dez, there's not a Dez Bryant. So if you get a third receiver as like a top guy, you still need depth. Why doesn't he make it? Especially if he's got them hands. That's another guy who's a vertical guy. You always need vertical guys, okay? And you need guys that can basically catch it and go. That's what he does. So Jon Vea Johnson, in my opinion, has a great chance to make the roster, especially if he gets his hands together. If he gets his hands together, he was already a pretty decent route runner, has the speed. The thing that hurt him was his hands. You get your hands together, you have every bit of chance to make this roster, especially when they add 2 more players for the active roster. Somebody gets hurt, they're always going to bring on speed. All right, now, let me talk to you about this interview that I was talking about. Shout out to everybody that's in here. Now, I want to have this. There's this interview I want to show you. Well, I want you to listen to. You're probably not going to see me. You're going to see it's the George Iocca. He was actually on our show, and he interviewed Kavon Frazier. I want you to listen a little bit to this. We know about the news. Shout out to, then before we jump into this interview right quick, because it's going to take up the rest of the time, and then I'm going to be out of here. But shout out to 2 things, Tyron Smith and Zach Martin for being on the all-decade team. Shout out to both of those dogs out there. They've been dogs the whole time they've been with the Cowboys, so shout out to them for making that happen, being on the all-decade team. And also, let me show you one thing right quick. What do y'all think about this picture right here? It's funny. I'm going to ask y'all what y'all think about this picture right here. With more fuel to the fire, man. How's everybody doing, by the way? Yeah, he hasn't. They had him at special teams, my Cowboys family, when he was at training camp. He was catching the ball in training camp, but he didn't get the opportunity because, once again, he had the shoulder injury, so it knocked him out. So he wasn't a special teams guy in college. I checked his time over there. Not really any kind of punt returns or kick returns, but I know they were trying him out there because I feel like that's one of the ways they are wanting him to get on the team is to do that. He was catching the ball, like I said, filling the punts, but practice in real life is a whole different thing. Hey, ho, Jawan James, I feel you, big dog, with the holla right there. Appreciate you, big dog. But let's go ahead and show you this. I'm going to go ahead and show y'all that. What y'all think about this? What the hell y'all think about it, man? What y'all think about that picture right there? We know Dez got a membership up there, so he's going to train and all that. But what do y'all think about this? Is this more fuel to the fire? This is a whole bunch of more gasoline to the fire right here. Is this just a whole bunch of more gasoline to this damn fire? First, you're seeing Dez just training by himself over by the facility, catching passes. Now Dak's involved. Now Ezekiel Elliott's in the fold. Now we're hearing Stephen Jones is giving the green light to Mike McCarthy if he wants to do it. I still say that they're going to look in the draft and see what they're going to do in the draft, and whatever happens in the draft is going to prelude if they're going to sign Dez Bryant. So that's my thinking on it. But what does this picture mean to y'all? Just looking at this picture, what does this picture say to y'all right quick before I let y'all listen to this interview? Because this is a damn good interview. But what does this picture say to y'all right quick? Should you read any more into this? Like I said, hey, if Stephen Jones is giving Mike McCarthy the end say, then I think Dez has a chance. But if it was left up to Stephen Jones, it ain't happening. So if that's the truth, what I'm hearing from my guy Patrick Walker saying that he's saying Mike McCarthy has the final say, then that's why I think Dez has a chance. Because if it was left up to Stephen Jones, even though he never closed that door, I don't think Stephen Jones was letting him come back, and I'm staying with that for life. But if he says, well, go ahead and let Mike McCarthy make the decision, then Dez does has a chance, in my opinion. So we'll see. So we'll see what happens with that. But I want you to listen to this interview right quick. Sorry if you see it how it is. But it was basically talking about Kavon Frazier, my guy George Aoki. Like I said, we had him on the interview about a month ago. Gave us some really good tidbits and insights. So there's a couple parts on here that I want y'all to listen to. Just goes to the theory with a lot of us were saying, not just one person, but a lot of us were saying about how the team was choking up when, calling one game plan the whole week, and then when we get in the game, they tighten up and get scary and do something else. And then hearing about Chris Richard and was he a fall guy to what was going on? What did the players really believe? But Kavon Frazier gave some good insight on this, and I want y'all to be able to listen to this right quick. So there's a couple of parts, so don't go anywhere. Listen to this and listen what Kavon Frazier has to say right here.
Because you can't really get a feel for the game for doing that. But, yes, but I was cool. Right there is a team that obviously since his career that saved you that year, but JJ and Barry Church, I was coming in and I was already the fifth safety.
All right, so basically Kavon Frazier is talking about how he felt like the team he never had a chance. That's what he basically saying. He never had a chance. And then when Chris Richard came in, there was more of he didn't have a chance. So this is basically talking about how there was the transition from 2016, the lineups, and then we're going to talk about the staff and things of that nature. But listen to this right quick. George Iocca's Gym Bag Podcast.
Back,
right? You try to make
I was a fifth safety.
Yeah.
So it was an uphill battle from then. But going into my second year, most of those guys left, and Byron switched to corner. No, Byron stayed at safety that year, but JJ and Barry Church left, so it was just me, Jeff, and Byron. So I'm like, okay, I got a shot right here, and everybody telling me, hey, it's gonna be a competition, it's gonna be an open competition, and going into training camp, you know what an open competition is like.
Yeah.
Everybody get reps at the ones and stuff like that. And my whole time with the Cowboys, it was never open competition. So fast forward, my second year, I finished the year rotating with the ones. I was basically starting, and me and Byron was rotating. So I come in the game, play 3 series, and then that pulled me out. He played 3 series, which that's annoying for anybody because you can't really get a feel for the game for doing that. But but I was cool with it because I was a guy that was originally wasn't playing no snaps, so I was cool with it, and I was making the most of all my chances. I was balling towards the end, so obviously Xavier was there still, but Xavier was playing nickel, so going into my third year, I was thinking like, okay. I was hearing some talks that they was moving Byron back to corner. So I was like, okay, this is my shot. Like this is my time. Like this it. Then obviously we got a new DB coach. And he came in basically off bat was like, was like, hey, Kavon, basically like the first couple meetings, he came in like, hey, these gonna be the starters. And I'm like, what? Like, did you even watch tape yet? Or did you, like, how you even know?
Or can you at least let us settle it on the field?
Right. I'm like, right, you feel me? So I'm like, okay, now this crazy. Like,
never open competition. Cowboys already
no
had that.
shots at X, because I know X a dope-ass safety. Like, he's
for sure.
a dope-ass free safety. But before that, he was playing nickel. So I'm like, man, like, is it a competition, or are you just naming who gonna be the starters? And then going and moving forward, that year X got hurt. So X got hurt in preseason, and that's when I tore my labrum in preseason too. But I started the year, the first couple games started, and my first game starting, I was leading it. I led. It was versus the Panthers. I led the team in tackles with 7. I had a PBU. So moving forward, I'm thinking like, okay, I'm gonna be rotating in. And then as soon as he got healthy, it was nothing. Like, I was back on the bench. So, so to answer your question, man, I really never really got a fair chance to crack the starting lineup for good. And even when I had that shot, it was like you in and you out. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
It is what it is, though, man. And like I said, I understand the business of it, but at that time, at that moment there, I really didn't understand.
Hey,
what can you do to break the special teams label and to be a starter in this league?
All right, so now, what up, Young Wilson with the 999 holla. Aloha, BGJ. Stay safe and the best player available. Now, I'm not done with this. That was a little part of how Kavon Frazier said he never had a chance. Now, I'm going to get to a part where he was talking about the players were cool, but the coaches were the ones that were scary.
Kavon saying, and I just really hope that you –
in our punt coverage, it was a drop and go up and play regardless.
You're right. Maybe as a player that didn't
– like, I don't think it was 1 week of the season, this past season, that I didn't see his name. And mind you, she's not even –
Look, you got to admit, Jason Henry didn't –
right, man. And like I say, man, I love Coach Garrett. Like,
that they're most likely out of a job.
It was their only chance to really bring it back. And that's why it was a Super Bowl bust, and that's why
– feeling going around. Do you feel like that ever weighed on the players or on the team in any way?
All right, here we go.
On the spot that I was hurt. I only played 2 games or 3 games of the whole season.
I want y'all to listen to this part because this
is
good.
When we
I
dropped
want y'all
off.
to listen to
so I mean, I just thought that was funny.
Did you ever feel like at any point last year that the Super Bowl or bust pressure?
All right, here we go. This is perfect. Got it right here.
On the spot that I was hurt. I only played 2 games or 3 games of the whole season.
Listen to this right here. This is
and that's
stuff.
When we dropped off. So I mean, I just thought that was funny.
Did you ever feel like at any point last year that the Super Bowl or bust pressure like got to the team? So I mean, I was there with you guys since April, and I felt like
right.
We always talk a Super Bowl, and every team does that. But I felt like personally, I felt like there was enough talent on that team to make the Super Bowl. But personally as well, internally, I mean, when you remember that talk in training camp with Jerry, that it was a kind of a Super Bowl or bust kind of feeling going around. Do you feel like that ever weighed on the players or on the team in any way?
I wouldn't say the players, because I'm saying because they was like we was going to go out and play regardless. If we was a Super Bowl or bust team or not making a playoff or bust team or whatever, like we was going to go up and play regardless. So I wouldn't even really say the players. I would say more so like the coaches. Not to throw anybody under the bus or nothing, but I'm not even gonna say any names. But I noticed there was a lot more stress put on the players from the coaches. If that makes sense.
No.
Yeah, if that makes sense. It was like I just feel like the coaches was putting different stuff in the players' head. Just because they know it was coming to a time. I mean, it was coming to an end for them, and this was their only chance to really bring it back. And that's why it was a Super Bowl bust, and that's why I feel like it was a downhill season because I think it was more so by the coaches.
So me trying to read too much into it. you wouldn't even necessarily say it was Super Bowl or bust that got to the organization. It was probably more so week in and week out. We kept hearing, is Jason Garrett going to keep his job? And that is the real definition of bust, because whether it's the head coach, assistant coaches know that once the head coach goes, that they're most likely out of a job, as well. So I think maybe it's a domino effect, right? So maybe that's what probably because like I said, every year is really Super Bowl or bust. If we being honest, like when you play in this league, you're trying to make it a Super Bowl. You're trying to make it to the Super Bowl. No one goes into the league saying we're gonna make it to the playoffs. So yeah, you're right. Maybe as a player that didn't affect y'all, and maybe the thought and the conversations of is Jason Garrett getting fired this week, it probably weighed on those coaches, and that's unfortunate because I feel like because of that led to the season in general to what it was.
And we all felt the same way about the team. This is crazy.
Right, man.
We all felt the same way.
And like I say, man, I love Coach Garrett. Like he the one that, or him and Jerry, and Will McClay, they're the ones that gave me my first shot of playing in the league. And Jason Garrett, man, I honestly think he a good coach. I think he a good dude. But man, that's gonna weigh on anybody. If every day in the media you hear your name, your name being brought up and saying like, you might get fired this week or you might get fired the next week, every single week of the season though. Like, I don't think it was 1 week of the season this past season that I didn't see his name or somebody saying that he probably gonna get
crazy.
Like, that's like I never seen nothing like it, bro. Like I never seen nothing like it. So,
all right, so last point, and then we're gonna finish it off tonight. But I want y'all to hear what was said about Chris Richard, because we heard about Chris Richard being the guru and the Legion of Boom, and I wanted to hear about what Chris Richard, because there's not been a lot of talked about it, and he was in the secondary, so I wanted to hear about Chris Richard. So he gave some good tidbits at the end about the coverages and how if people didn't do their jobs, if they didn't do their assignments, that's why you saw a lot of confusion. So it brought to light a lot of things when we saw what happened last year, and I want y'all to listen to this as well.
That was a bar. I ain't gonna lie, but that's low-key a bar.
I think it was real advanced because before he got.
That was a bar. I ain't gonna lie, but that's low-key a bar.
Yeah, that was fine. All right, bro. So before Chris Richard got hired for the Cowboys, they were all saying that because of the Legion of Boom, he was a DB whisperer. You got
so upset when I heard that because moments especially, and really what he came in with, like he had that dog since he came in, and like that's a different type of dude. And I think he got they got the hometown discount when they drafted him in the 4th round.
Preach
for the people in the back. I ain't mad at you.
Like
that was a bar. I ain't gonna lie, but that's low-key a bar.
All right, now listen to this part right here. This is some good stuff. More from the George Iocca interview with Mr. Kavon Frazier from the Jim Bad podcast. Once again, we had George Iocca on the show here last month. He gave us some great insight, but this is a great interview, has some great tidbits, and listen to what he has to say about Chris Richard right here.
That was fine. All right, bro. So before Chris Richard got hired for the Cowboys, they were all saying that because of the Legion of Boom, he was a DB whisperer. You got to play under him as a DB coach. And do you believe that he's a DB whisperer? Do you believe that y'all played on another level while he was in the building?
I would say at the beginning of his time, the first year, I think we was playing good. I think we was playing real well while he was in the buildings. I think it was some down moments. I think it was a lot of down moments, especially this last year. But I don't know about no DB whisperer.
He said I don't know about a DB whisperer.
I say this. Let me hop in. I wasn't with him for a long time.
George, I like this. Right. Listen to this part right here.
I never heard of like the DB whisperer thing, but I can see why he was in the position to be. I mean, regardless of like, let's take away the results, because as players, we know that sometimes we're better than the results we put out. I think Coach Richard is a better coach than what the organization, the Cowboys as a whole, put out this year. And I can see by how he coaches, how detailed he was, why I can see why he got that label, the DB whisperer. So, I gotta No,
I think
I gotta chime in here. Go ahead.
I think his DB, how detailed he was
for
in that system, I think it was real it was real advanced because before he got there, we were in that same form of cover 3 that he had us running, and this was when this was my first couple of years. Obviously we was more so a cover 2, but we also threw in a bunch of cover 3. And we all ran that same form, but what the details he put in, like 8 to 10, 2 and through the numbers, all that little details is stuff that we didn't. George, that stuff that with cover 3s, like we never really knew. Like we just knew buzz to the flat, like buzz to the flat, get 10 yards. But nobody ever knew like 2 or through the numbers or different terms like that. So those little details, it was key. And I feel like if you messed up one of those keys, I'm talking about everybody. It was so many small details that if one person was off within the whole back 7, it was gonna mess up the whole, back 8 or whatever, or back 7. It was gonna mess up the whole defense. So everybody had to be on the same little details, and I feel like that's why I was a little hesitant, just because it was so detailed that if one person was off, everybody was off. If one person was off, even by a smidge, like if you buzz to the numbers and not through the numbers, you gave a big play just because your corner is 20 yards or your corner is bailing. So like it's a bunch of different little examples like that one person was just a smidge off, or one person wasn't 2 yards outside the hash. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and piggybacking off what he said, like that's why I said, like, let me backdoor about Coach Richard, because just going by what like I picked up from him, he's a great coach. Now you can say the results last year wasn't where people wanted it to be, and that's fine, I understand it. But just like Kavon said, that defense in any team that runs it, and I'll give example, it doesn't leave much margin for error. So it's either the great defense like the year before, or it's like last year where it's not where you want it to be. It's like San Fran this year, where they're damn near the best team, the best defense in the league, and then San Fran the year before. Same thing with the Atlanta Falcons. So it really is, I don't want to say a sink or swim defense. It's just a defense that doesn't leave much margin for error. But when it's on point and it's on clicking, you have the defense that you guys had the previous year when y'all made it, where y'all did in the playoffs. So, no, I agree with you on that standpoint, Kay.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's so many little details that if you're going to run it consistently like we ran it, you have to be on point with all them details. Like everything. San Fran, like they run it, but then they'll put it in the cover 4 to kind of switch it up and throw the offense off. So the offense, even if they're not on point with their cover 3, like they just threw it in the cover 4. So you don't know if they're going to come back with the cover 4, if they're going to be with the cover 3, or sometimes they put in cover 2. Like, and we was mainly running all cover 3 or man-to-man. So like, with that cover 3, how we was running it, everything had to be the same.
So do you think it was too much thinking with all those added details with Chris Richard, and it allowed you not to play as free as you would normally play?
To a certain extent. I mean,
great interview to me.
Yeah, to a certain extent. I think I don't think that's why, we had bad results, because the year before, we had good results, and we was running the exact same stuff. So I just think, if it was 1 or 2 persons off, that's what threw everybody off. So
you recently just had a teammate retire for health reasons. I believe he's a Hall of Famer. Do you believe that he's a Hall of Famer, and do you?
Great interview from George Iocca with Kavon Frazier. Great insight. I really love the questions that they gave. George Iocca gave us a great interview as well. He was very informative on how we did. Shout outs to George, how he did it. But that was something that you really wanted to hear. And when you listen to the thing I listened to about what Kavon Frazier was saying about when you look at 2018, it wasn't a Super Bowl or bust season. It wasn't. It was an expectation of we want to get good. We got some good coaches in place. Let's see how we do. They knew they didn't have the receivers or things of that nature. But 2019, it was more of a Super Bowl bust because you had Amari Cooper in the fold for a whole season now. You had a Michael Gallup who was going to a second year. You got a Robert Quinn. You got a Randall Cobb. You had all the pieces in place you felt that was good enough to get you to a Super Bowl. So I feel like it was more the pressure that really made Chris Richard crumble more than anything else. Now, we understand that he didn't teach his guys to turn around and look, and that was one of the concerning things when you saw Byron Jones and Cheeto and things of that nature. But when at the end of the day, I just think it was the pressure that the organization felt from the fans, from the media, from Jerry Jones, from everybody. And because of that, they didn't coach the way they probably would have coached another year when they felt more carefree. And you could see more insight, and too many players are saying the same thing where they say there's smoke, there is fire. And that's what I'm feeling when you listen to a lot of these players saying the same thing, that the players saying the coaches change up. The players got to only do what the coaches tell them to do. This is fresh off the press. This isn't old. This isn't 2 years ago, or a year ago, a month ago, anything like that. Fresh off the press, George Iocca. Make sure if you want to go on Twitter, make sure you holler at him and follow him. Probably have him on the show again sometime soon to give more of his insight. But, hey, that was my quick breakdown. My thoughts on Jon Vea Johnson. I still think he has a chance, and a great chance, because speed kills, and he will have a chance because he's young. They don't have a lot of depth on this roster. And so I think you're going to see that happen with Jon Vea Johnson getting a chance. So appreciate everybody in the feed today. It was an awesome, awesome time. I love everybody that was in the feed. Another great crowd for another consecutive time that we've done it. Shout outs to everybody that's been a great sponsor to the Big Game James Silver and Blue Nation. Let's continue to make this thing great. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for the late night hype with myself, Law Nation, Skywalker Steel. You know how we do. We got our own separate things, but on Tuesdays we form together like Voltron, and that's what we're going to do. So make sure you get in on the late night hype. You got the COVID-19 still banging out there, so you're probably not going to be going to work, and if you do, it's going to be in a small margin. So stay up with us tomorrow. Stay up late and listen to all what we got to talk about with the latest Cowboys news, so we can jump in there, have a great time, and bounce off. And plus, we need the hype chat. We want everybody in there participating. And get ready for this draft. Getting ready to pop off. The virtual draft, it's going to be a virtual draft this year, so it's going to be unprecedented like you've never seen before. But guess what? Silver and Blue Nation, Skywalker Steel Law Nation, possibly Vach Lombardi are all going to be in the building, having our own personal mock draft before the draft, and then we're going to have you guys in there chime in as we go through our picks. Have a whole first round draft with all teams, as well as the Cowboys, and then possibly come in on the second day because we ain't got nothing to do, and do a day two of what we think may happen with the Cowboys picks, and make sure you jump in there as well. So it's going to be a great time, so we want y'all in there. So shout outs to everybody that was in the building. Love everybody. Love the great people that was in here today. Fire, fire, fire. I love it, love it, love it. Make sure you like, subscribe, share. If you're not a subscriber to Silver and Blue Nation or Big Game James, please hit that like and subscribe button so we can make this thing great. We're almost at 3K. We want to get there as soon as possible, but the only way we can get there is with you. So if you like the content, if you like what's going on here, please like it. Go tell anybody who's a Cowboys fan, come like this page and make this thing great. We had the goal of hitting 5K before the season was over. We can definitely hit that goal, but the only way we can hit that goal is with you guys. So get out there and share the hell out of this, and let's make this thing great. So without further ado, Silver and Blue Nation, Big Game James. Hold on, Dallas Cowboys for life. You said you want to do a collab soon, bro. I'm on it. Let's make it happen. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Drops hurt too, but if he can get them drops together, we banging. But Dallas Cowboys for life. Get in my inbox on my Big Game James page. Get in my inbox on my Big Game James page on Facebook. Just type in Big Game James. Get in my inbox on there, or go on my Twitter and DM me on my Twitter at Yates James, YAITES. Go over there and DM me, and yeah, let's definitely make that happen. I'm down for it. Shit, I'm all about collabing and talking good Cowboys news. So, yeah, let's definitely make that happen. Get in my inbox, and we will definitely make it happen. But we'll talk to you soon. I love everybody. Thank you, and take soon and take care, and go Cowboys as usual.